do that.
Got it. I'm being live streamed.
Okay. So we're not. All right. Stop doing that.
We're live.
Oh, I thought it didn't do it until it said got it.
Well, I said got it. But that shouldn't affect everybody.
Well, no, this meeting is being live streamed.
Yeah, I got that popped up on my screen and I said got it.
Until I clicked the got it.
Oh, yeah, we're up there.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're live on.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, we'll get the hang of this one of these days. Okay, well, I guess we're live, pal. Oh, I could have skipped the ad too, huh? Skip ad, please. Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I am your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker.
And I am your co-host who wasn't expecting to go on at 7:54 p.m. Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot.
And I am the Cobra intern that is a stain on your action figure collection. Codename Legion Cub.
Oh, curse you. Yeah, we're starting a little early because I thought I could hit a button and then it would kind of wait until we did the next thing before we actually started. And that's not how it works, it turns out. So here we are. You're getting
technology.
You're getting 6 minutes of bonus content. And the first minute I know was scintillating entertainment. More bang for your buck here at Audible Interlude. Yeah, good thing we behaved. Yeah, you're not kidding. It's always a fine line, but we're professionals here. All right, I got to get myself off my screen. Let me put that away. Okay. Needless Things YouTube channel. You're watching it right now. You can get reviews of Serpentor, of Dr. Stainbender, and coming soon, Python Patrol stuff, other Joe things right around the corner. And, of course, every other kind of toy you can think of on there. So subscribe, like, tell your friends, share, do all that stuff. I want to talk a little bit about scheduling. So if things go as planned, on December 13th, that will be our next live stream and our final Tuesday live stream. Because, my gosh, I cannot keep doing these after working 12-hour shifts. I'm going to die. And then the following Monday on December 19th, we are going to have our Christmas live stream spectacular. So 2 weeks in a row, you're going to have live streams. They're going to be spectacular. And then December 26th, not a live stream, but the regular audio version of the podcast. We're going to have our year-end wrap-up. And then our very first live stream of the new year will be on January the 2nd. So just keep that in mind. And once we get past the 13th, going forward, they're going to be every other Monday. That's the plan. Obviously, the plans can change, pal. So, Noel, you're going to kick us off this week.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Before we get to that, we've got 3 minutes before we officially start. I think it's a good time for a little bonus babble. What do you guys think of that?
I can handle bonus babble.
So we won't start the show proper or start with our actual topics until 8. Because I've got something I kind of want to talk about, and I'm glad I'm going to do it now and not wait for next week's episode. So we had Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and that combined with me ordering my foreign Outback and just a lot of different factors have come into play where I do very strongly feel pay what you're comfortable with paying. And, it's great to wait for price drops or whatever, but if it's something that you definitely want, don't feel bad about paying. If you bought that Viper 3-pack when it was $90, and you were happy at the time paying $90, don't let it bother you now that it's $58 on Amazon.
Well, not anymore.
Well,
It
not
was
anymore.
for a
Not
couple
anymore, but
hours.
it was for a little
Yeah.
while.
It
well,
sold out
it
fairly
was,
quickly.
It was $58.99 on Amazon exactly 23 seconds after I paid $67 for it on Pulse. Which my magic price that I was waiting for was $70. Once it got under 70, I was going to pull the trigger and go ahead and buy it. I just didn't think it would be from Pulse. I assumed it would be from Amazon. So when Pulse did their 25% off sale over the weekend, and then they added in the Viper 3-pack, I was like, I'm in. This is it. I want this set. I'm dying to compare those Vipers to the existing Vipers because apparently there are some differences. So I really want to get them side by side and check those out. But the bottom line is I'm happy with what I paid for Outback, even though he is technically now plentiful. He's been up for sale several times. People are finding end caps of Python Patrol figures and Outback in Target stores now. Apparently the big rollout is Friday, but people are already finding these end caps that are only at Target, which have been pre-existing, but they had like Star Wars stuff on them before. Star Wars and WWE were on them before. Now they're loading the Joe stuff onto those end caps. So you're going to be able to get Outback, but I don't feel bad about getting mine because it gave me peace of mind at the time that I ordered it. And the same thing with that Viper 3-pack. I was happy paying $67 for it. So the fact that literally seconds later, it was under 60 is, it would have been great to save a few bucks, but I was okay with it then. So that shouldn't change my feeling about it. So that's my point really, is if it's worth it to you to pay $400 for what, a Starduster? I mean, he's up there, right?
He's up there.
He's up there. I have no idea. I know he's up in the multiple hundreds. So if it's worth it to you to pay that, then pay that and be happy about it. Don't and if you buy something and then, you're online, you see somebody, I got a Starduster for $50. Well, you weren't there to get that Starduster for $50. So that doesn't matter to you. Be happy with the fact that you made the decision to spend what you were comfortable spending. So that's our little preamble. For anybody that's joining us now, I just hit the button too early. We had a little premature broadcasting going on, a little bonus content that you'll be able to hear Friday.
And I totally not requested information, but even with the Viper, when you sent us the notice that on Amazon it had dropped down to below 60, I clicked on it, I looked at it, and I still was just, I don't know, I'm still on the fence about those designs. So I was like, let me think about it and I'll come back.
You can't think about it.
And you can't, because I came back.
You gotta push the button and be ready to return it.
They were gone, and I was like, you know what? I'm not even upset that I missed out on it.
There you go.
So I feel like I'm good. I'm happy for everybody who got them, but also don't feel pressured to buy something just because of FOMO.
It's cheap, right? Well,
Yeah.
And that's another good point, is that Blue Ninja 2-pack that I don't want got real cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it and I was like, no, it doesn't matter. I don't want to pay $10 for this. It just doesn't appeal to me. So I'm not getting it, and I didn't get it, which is if you know me, that's a pretty big accomplishment.
The Viper 3-pack is
toys.
Viper 3-pack is probably my closest thing to any buyer's remorse I've had since Classified, because I was like, I don't know if it's worth $90, but it was the FOMO. It was like, so many of these things sell out, especially at that time. Now I think we're a little bit more comfortable buying things on Pulse or whatever, and knowing that there's probably going to be more later on down the road, or they're getting easier to find in stores in a lot of cases. We'll see how that continues to develop. But for that one, it was like, well, I want that Viper officer. I want a couple more Vipers to have a full squad. So let me go ahead and bite the bullet on this one, even though it was a little bit more than I wanted to pay for it. So yeah, I did feel a little like, I paid too much when you sent that deal the other day. But I said, it's not the end of the world, because I've had mine up on my shelf for, a month and a half now.
Yeah.
And, they're cool. They are a little different than the other Vipers. So when you finally get them in your hands, I'll be looking forward to seeing I'm sure you'll do a video on it.
Oh, of course. I will.
Yeah.
Content. Brings up another good point, though, is that, right now Hasbro has upped the production on Joes. They also massively upped the prices on Joes, which I still think is kind of an early adopter tax, that all of this stuff is intended to be marked down. But Hasbro knows there are going to be a lot of us who just pay those prices right up front before they drop down to 20 or less. But it's potentially we're in kind of a cycle now where it is plentiful, but because it's plentiful and because the prices were so high, then maybe they don't move all the stock. So next round or next year's releases, they drop production a little bit, and then stuff gets a little hard to find again. And then they hear oh no, we need more. Like, I think there might be kind of a cycle here of ups and downs of production numbers and prices that we're going to be seeing, which goes back to, if you see a price you're comfortable with, just buy it. And keep the receipt if you need to. All right. Well, there you go. There's our preamble, is now our show-amble. For anybody who missed it, welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I'm your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker.
And I'm your co-host, again, Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot.
And I'm your Cobra intern that is still a stain on your life, codename Legion Cub.
All right, we got to run through these comments. We are live, pals. Thank you, Craig. All right, we got some good comments in here already. Golden Cub, welcome back. I got my Dr. Mindbender this week. He's even better in person. Watch out for losing those accessories. You're not kidding, because just moving them from the workshop into here, like all these little tiny parts, especially these little nubs on the brain canister. I don't know what to call this. So many little tiny pieces, but I love it. We'll talk about Mindbender more in a minute. All right, Casey Wheeler, what's up? Podcast from the Pit. Everybody check it out. Sticky legs on their Mindbender. Sticky as in they don't want to. I don't think I've had any trouble with mine. No.
Not Mindbender.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Serpentor.
The only joint issue on my Mindbender is that.
Whoa.
Yeah, the bottom.
He can earn $50 real easy.
The bottom joint of his left elbow, it's not like crazy, like flop. Well, it is kind of flopping around loose, but it's looser than it should be. But
that's the first classifieds figure I've seen.
Yeah,
with loose joints.
Me too. We'll talk more about Mindbender in a bit, but yeah, no sticky legs here. Let's see. Black Friday, Cyber Monday killed my wallet. This month killed my wallet. Yeah, lots of wallet killing going on out there. When that Hasbro Pulse 25% off went up, I like half of Christmas was bought over the course of 2 days, because I'm buying for my son as well. And not only did they have 25% off, but then they put up more stuff. When that Viper 3-pack went up, that was with a whole second batch of stuff that had not been up previously. So I made like 3 big buys over the course of the weekend. It was wild, but it was great. Cheap toys are the best. All right, let's see. Tara Ledford, waiting on the Stinger. You'll be very happy once you get it, I think. I love that vehicle. Let's see. Serpentor's box. Jedi Squatch the Wise. Serpentor's box staring at me, begging to be opened. Open it. That's what it's there for. And also, if you just need a peek, you can open it. Well, you have to cut through. Serpentor has the tabs holding that sleeve on. Mindbender didn't have that, because Mindbender, I believe you could open him completely without cutting any tape.
Yeah,
because you could get the front panels open.
Yeah, I've still got mine, and it was pretty much just out of the box I could do this.
Yeah, and so now to get everything out, you have to cut the tape. But just to look at the figure, you can just open the panels. Serpentor.
But I also totally get you, because that box for Serpentor,
it's gorgeous.
Is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's the first box I've had that I felt bad.
As I was saying, I intentionally tore mine so I would not have to deal with the dilemma of whether or not I wanted to throw it away.
That's craziness. And I kept both of mine, because the Serpentor and the Mindbender are a matching set. Like you put them next to each other and they're beautiful. And the problem is, though, they're so thick it's not like I can put them at the back of the shelf to be a backdrop. So as Noel, what you did was the right thing to do, because I don't need to keep these, but I'm going to, and now I have less space. Let's see what else we got. Serpentor will be opened up as soon as I clear some space. There you go.
Yeah, he's definitely on the air chariot. I had to crouch him a little bit so he'll fit on the shelf, because his head was bumping the shelf above it.
Yeah, I actually had to very carefully get him off of the top shelf, but yeah, he's on the top because it's got the most space up there, because I love, this is the pose for me with that.
Yeah, I have him holding it out like this, so it helps to keep him lower.
Matthew Comstock, first figure you've seen with loose joints. Did you get any of the Snake Eyes movie figures? Good point.
I only got Akiko, and my Akiko, she is tight. She has done all her exercises.
The only one I've got that's loose is Storm Shadow. His legs are loose, but they're not like, it's the drop down joints that are loose. Everything else is fine. So once you get him posed, he holds his pose. It's not a problem, but it is, those are kind of floppy.
I just got the Scarlet and I haven't opened her.
Yeah. But yeah, everything else was fine. All right, let me scroll back up in the notes, because Noel has got to kick us off with a little bit of show and tell.
Yeah, so as I had mentioned on a previous episode a couple weeks back, I went to Retro Toy Con, which is in Greenville, South Carolina. It's a show that I've participated in with the finest as far as like doing charity work there, but also I've been going and just going to actually enjoy the show as well. It's one of my favorite shows because it's a smaller show, but it's not tiny. I mean, you can spend a few hours in the dealer room. They got some really good guests this year. I'm not usually there for the guests, but they had all 4 of the original Ninja Turtle voices. They had a really cool meet and greet with them with a pizza party. They were selling empty pizza boxes for $10 a piece that were branded with the show's logo, and you could buy one of those and go to the pizza party and get all 4 of the original Turtles.
That's cool.
Yeah, to sign it. So I mean, and Rob Paulson's a big get. He's not just somebody that anybody can get. So getting somebody like him up there. They also had Arthur Burkhart was there, of course, the voice of Destro.
I'm mad at you for not interacting. And
I'll tell you more about that as well in a minute, because I wasn't really at the show during any of the show's hours officially. Ted DiBiase and Hacksaw Jim Duggan were there. A couple other, I can't remember her name. The voice of Jem was there. So
Samantha Newark.
Yeah, she was there. So I mean, a lot of good celebrities. It was if you go for that sort of thing, which I mean that's not my bag, but I got hey, cool. I go meet your heroes if that's what you're into, and they usually get some good guests there.
Oh my gosh, real quick. Craig Dukas just named this segment, and I can't believe none of us hit on it. Joe and Tell.
Joe and Tell.
Get that man
right there in front of you.
But so we went up the night before because they did a preview night on Friday. So from 5 till 9, the floor was open, and got in there. I took $200 cash out in addition to like the 60 I had on me, and I was like, "This is all I'm spending." That's not the way it works. It never is.
Yeah.
Especially when you find the booths that have PayPal. But first night I found some pretty cool stuff. I got a few loose Joe figures. I'm troop building some vehicle drivers. I got some Gyro Vipers, some Motor Vipers, like $10 a piece. They don't come with any accessories. They're good to have, except for the helmet on the Gyro Viper. Got a couple good Televipers, complete. Great prices on those. You can usually find good Joe stuff less than you're going to find it like a Joe specific. So like less than you find it at Joe Fest or something like that, because it's not a specific Joe show, but there's a lot of Joe fans there. I also found some other cool things. Oh, did I not bring them over here? I didn't bring my Shockwave. I got a Shockwave, which is the Galactic Man from Radio Shack, which was the same mold as Shockwave.
The gray version, right?
Gray version. Now, finding those online... Did I leave them over there? I sure did. I might have to go grab them. Finding them online in great condition, you're going to spend a lot of money. This one his arm's broken. Okay, but his arm's still there. His cord is a little messed up.
While you're getting him, I'll mention that you can go right now to Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. Go to the stories. We've got 2 different styles of Audible Interlude t-shirts, and the Cyber Week TeePublic sale is still going on. So I think it's $13 plus shipping for a shirt. We've got the AI Pod shirt, and then we've got the Audible Interlude Podcast logo shirt. Go to our stories, Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, and the links are right there. Get yourselves a couple of shirts, or get your family. Wouldn't your family love to receive G.I. Joe podcast shirts for Christmas? Who wouldn't love that?
Give these out as gifts to all of your friends.
All right, so this is Shockwave, but with Shaquille O'Neal's head. Is that right?
Oh my.
So the only difference mold-wise between this and Transformer Shockwave is that the trigger is a little bit more like a trigger. But the best thing
right.
is he still works. If you can hear that.
Do it again.
Is that not coming through?
No.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's making sounds. They're very loud. Anyway, so $5. His arm's broken.
$5?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
I'm gonna try to glue it back together, but listen,
Sure.
one of these in complete condition is going to cost you $100 on eBay.
That's great.
So, few other like random toys, a couple little Transformers and things like that. I did find a very cool bit of artwork here. These are, and I have his information down here. I threw all this in a pile. Oh no, do I not have it? It's on the thing. This is photography by Retro Toy Quest, but he does compilations of, if you can see that, this is the 82 G.I. Joe lineup. This is all photography he did himself.
Awesome.
And this is 83. He's also got a Tiger Force one, which I did not pick up, but these were definitely must-haves. I had to get those.
Those are great. What was did you say the handle, the guy's name?
It's photography by Retro Toy Quest. It's retrotoyquest.com.
Okay.
So check him out. He does some really, really cool photography. He sells prints, and it's not just G.I. Joe stuff. He does a lot of other toy lines as well.
Inhumanoids?
I did not see Inhumanoids, but you know what?
I'll have to check it out.
Maybe if he has some in his collection, he'd be happy to do that. But then, of course, G.I. Joe stuff. I had to pick up some G.I. Joe stuff, right? We're on a G.I. Joe podcast.
It's Joe and Tell. Thank you, Craig.
As we're going through on preview night, I'm there with my friend Brian.
Oh my gosh. Wait, I'm sorry. Kristian, can you go to retrotoyquest.com? One of the central images I'm looking at right now is the Dungeons and Dragons line with the Fortress of Fangs right in the middle.
Yes.
Wow.
Let me try to let's show the people.
Let's see.
All right, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Look at this. Holy cow. I know this is a G.I. Joe podcast, but that is awesome. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So definitely some cool stuff. If you want to take a look at some of his photos out there, and those are 11 by 14s. I will admit I had to trim them slightly to fit them into these cheap Walmart frames. But if you get like a bigger frame, you should be fine. And he sells them in larger sizes as well, and they're very affordable. Anyway, so Joe stuff. As I mentioned, I went there the night before. My friend Brian was there with me. There's a booth, and this is a guy that we bought some stuff from last year. I got like a couple of vehicles, and he's very reasonable on prices. But he had a display set up, and he had a tactical battle platform. I'm trying to remember what all he had. He had, actually, I'm going to pull up because I put notes on it. He had 2 Devilfish, a Night Landing, Cobra Night Landing.
Oh, man, I need that.
3 Mantas, a Swamp Masher. That's 16 or so loose figures, some odds and ends, and a nearly complete tactical battle platform. And these vehicles weren't necessarily complete, but they were in good shape.
Yeah.
So Brian asked how much he wanted for it. He said $125. And I was like, if you don't buy that, I am buying it
for
right now.
everything.
For everything.
Whoa.
So he got that. That was pretty much the end of our night. And we went back to the room. He's laying out all these figures. I am like just FOMO. I'm so jealous that he just noticed them. So they had a preview morning the next day at 9 a.m. before the official show opened at 10. So that's the first place I went. As soon as that door opened at 9 a.m., he had a G.I. Joe HQ laid out. With that, he had a HISS tank, a watchtower, an APC. APC has the steering wheel, did not have the seat belts, but still pretty good find. The cannon was in complete condition, didn't have any broken tabs. And again, about 16 or so loose figures. And I said, how much you want for it? He said, $175. I was like, shut up and take my money.
How many headquarters do you need?
Well, that's the thing is I've got the parts that I'm missing or have broken. I will complete here. And then I'll probably either flip this or just hold it back for, in case I have breakage. So it's not as in good condition as the one that I have, but I was like, all right, that's fine. I got something pretty cool. We'll wander around for a minute. Around 10 o'clock, I go back. Now he's got a mobile command center set up.
Oh, man.
And
I like how this guy's just spacing stuff out instead of just putting it all out there at once. He's like, I am really Nolan. I'm gonna get him.
Right, because if you had showed up on night one and he'd been like, I want $600 for all this, you'd have been like, but a little bit at a time.
Yeah. So anyway, he's got the mobile command center out. A few other, again, he's got some other assorted vehicles. He's got little things like, the
jetpack.
I think this Ram was here. The jetpack was here. There's an MMS. I got the explosives.
You're moving too fast. You gotta give us a moment with it. Let us spend some time with it.
Yeah.
What is that? The bomb disposal?
The bomb disposal.
Yeah.
Okay.
We threw in one of these for good measure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can never have enough of those.
Yeah. This little this Cobra Dictator does not have Overlord. It's still in the bag, but
what is that?
Cobra Dictator. This was the
armored motorcycle looking thing, but not really a motorcycle.
Was that like post 88?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And then it was definitely post 88. I think I mentioned the watchtower. This is
that is high on my list.
Yeah.
All but the door here. This was included in this lot.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the mobile command center is something I've been piecing together for about a year. I picked up one that was missing the cab, and I got it for really cheap at a show, and then picking up pieces. But I'm like, this is starting to get expensive, and it's a lot of work, and it's a pretty intensive project. And with the price that he threw everything in, I was like, okay, I'm picking this up too, and I'll part out my other one or sell it off in its shape because it's about 90% complete. And this one was 100. So walked out of there spending a little bit more than I wanted to, but I'm not going to show the mobile command center because it's not, despite its name, it's not a very mobile toy.
No, it's not the sort of like, hey, check this out.
No. So that was pretty much my big coup de grace at the end was picking all this stuff up. But have you ever gone to a show and you're going in at like general admission hours if the show opens at 10 and you're already seeing people walk out of there with like boxes and boxes of good stuff and you're just so jealous?
Yeah.
Well, it's good to be on the other side of that scenario sometimes. Because as I'm walking out with all these Joe toys sticking out of my box like baguettes in a movie from a grocery bag, I just got so many looks, and I'm like, yep, you're not going to get a good deal as I am. Picked up a few of these. Of course,
hey, there's that shipwreck.
Yeah, got that shipwreck.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so and a couple other things. This is my show and tell segment, so I had to get a few things available for immediate visual response. But yeah, I mean, it was a great show. I always look forward to that show every year. If you live anywhere near Greenville, it usually happens right around Thanksgiving every year. And hoping that we can get our garrison to do some more stuff. It's technically in the Carolinas garrison, so our Georgia garrison doesn't cover it for doing finest events, but we've participated there because we're close to the Carolina garrison, so we've kind of co-run the show with them a few times.
Well, that's awesome. I'm very jealous you got to go. That so far at Retro Toy Con, every year that it's happened, I've been working that weekend, so I haven't been up to one yet. But I did find out, it is confirmed, I am off for Joe Fest next year.
Yeah.
So everybody start paying attention to Joe Fest for a little Audible interlude presence there once again. All right. So I got to clear something up. I went a little nuts on the last live stream. I went off a little bit about Hasbro not following Mattel's incredible example with the Masters of the Universe Origins line. And I said something that I didn't totally mean, or I did mean, but I need to explain a little bit. I said, I don't even like Mattel. Mattel annoys me. I say that as somebody who has been handing Mattel money hand over fist for over 20 years now, from WWE to DC Universe to Masters of the Universe. The people, the individuals at Mattel that run the lines, that work on the products, I love those people. They're geniuses. They bring us incredible things like the Origins line, or like the innovations that are happening in the WWE line right now. The Ultimates, this crazy Noel I showed you just the other night, that Coliseum collection, Hulk Hogan and Terry Funk 2-pack.
Yes.
That Coliseum collection, if you haven't been paying attention to wrestling toys lately, check those out, because those, I think, are going to change the game and get a lot of people back into collecting wrestling figures. So anyway, I love the people that work for Mattel, but I feel like everything that I see is them constantly having to fight the decision makers at Mattel to make their visions come true. And that goes back to the Masters of the Universe 2002 line. That goes back to Scott Neidlich's time on Masters in DC. Like, that's the impression that I've gotten over the years, is that Mattel, it's a miracle we get cool products out of that place. But we do. So to everybody that works there, your superheroes, to the company itself, loosen up a little bit. But thank you for Origins, because it is one of the greatest toy lines of all time. And I wish Hasbro would follow suit. All right. So I just wanted to clear that up, because I felt like I came off. I meant every word of what I said about Hasbro, what are you doing? But I came off a little harsh about Mattel. All right. So we already talked a little bit about Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Lots of great deals, 25% off of tons and tons of stuff on Pulse, Tomac, Saymot, Stalker, the Viper 3-pack, tons of Marvel Legends, tons of Star Wars, and then, Amazon matching and undercutting prices on a lot of things. Did you guys go insane in any way, or were you able to kind of, or was it all stuff that you already had and you were like, this does me no good?
Well, I didn't go insane, but I will say, so I've been on this little adventure with Big Bad, because, as I mentioned before on the podcast, I got my Tomax.
Right.
But my Zaymot has never showed up in my pile of loot. Even though he's available on the site, he's available everywhere else. He has just, my pile of loot is still sitting there with a 0 on him. And I've been too lazy, honestly, to pull the trigger to get him anywhere else. So Amazon ended up having him for $16. So I went in, my pile of loot still said 0 on Zaymot. So I canceled him and bought him off of Amazon. And that's the Joe wise, I think that's the only thing I got.
Well, what's funny that I noticed is, I don't remember which twin it was, but there were a couple of places that had just one of the twins on sale.
Amazon was that way. Because but they had the photos. Actually, you know what? I should knock on wood the right one shows up, because they had the photos reversed. And I was like, wait a minute. Zaymot's the one with the scar that says Zaymot. So
I'm still just baffled at how who decided in the marketing that was a good idea to release them separately, because who's
so
buying
weird,
one?
right?
Yeah, and you could make a little, because that's one that if they had a couple of extra accessories with them, I might pay a premium to get the 2-pack
oh sure,
with some nice packaging.
Yeah, if they had come with like a laptop and an
a zip line.
and a zip line, and well, and for that Blue Ninja set to be, that was the first 2-pack, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why not kick off with the twins? And by twins, I mean Xandar and Zarana, obviously.
Twins.
They are twins.
I was
fact.
fairly conservative, as I mentioned. Well, we were talking earlier, and you sent me the Entertainment Earth sale, and
oh, dude, that one too. Although I didn't get any Joe from that, but Super 7 Ultimates, baby, they're on the way.
Super 7 Ultimate, and I had picked up the Optimus Prime from the Ultimates line a few weeks back, and I got a really good price on them on eBay and you had sent a link actually while I was at Retro Toy Con for I can't remember who you sent it, was selling it for like $35. It was a lot cheaper than, I mean, these are $55 initially, plus you're paying shipping from Super 7. You're going to pay like $80 for one of these toys. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll pick it up for 35, and it was on eBay, and I got free shipping, and yeah, so not a big deal at all. But then they had them for $21.95, and if you spent $39, you got free shipping. So I just got a couple of the Star Wars Geeky Tiki mugs that were also like super. They were like normally 35, and they were like $13. So I got a couple of those, and it was enough to get free shipping, and boom. So that'll be arriving in the next few days.
Yeah, I
pretty
got
much all of my Cyber Monday spending.
I got Leatherhead, because if you do regularly watch the Needless Things YouTube channel, you know that Super 7 sent me Krang instead of Leatherhead. And I just kept the Krang because I realized, like, oh, I do want a Krang, because I didn't order it because I was like, this is one of the weaker offerings, but now that I've got it, I'm glad I've got it. But I didn't have a Leatherhead, so I got that from Entertainment Earth. I got the Sorcerer Mickey because he was $20.
Oh, such a great figure. Great figure, and that price.
I wish Prince John had been part of that. I would have gotten him too. Then I got the Samurai Leo, which I wasn't going to get, but for 35% off or whatever it was, sure. I got several Super 7 Ultimates, a couple other things like Entertainment Earth had, and I think they're having a Cyber Week. So if you go to Entertainment Earth now, I think they still have a ton of deals up, and some of them are pretty crazy. I actually missed a couple of things too. So yeah, Big Bad Entertainment Earth, all the spots, keep an eye on them all week long. Well, honestly, now through Christmas.
Yeah.
Because they're going to keep popping sales back up.
So a good question from Matthew Comstock. Where are all the Wave 1 G.I. Joe Ultimates? Yeah, we don't know.
March.
Although
is that what they're saying now?
What Brian Flynn said is that they weren't happy with the construction on a number of them, and Super 7 will sit on something until they are happy with it. Now,
the San Diego Comic-Con bat is sure easy to find.
Yeah,
and you can find it without a big markup pretty much any convention you go to.
But yeah, the Joe Ultimates, they are still working on them. I would not expect them before late February, early March, from what I understand. And Super 7, they will keep. They won't push things out. They'll wait until they're satisfied. Now, because they're satisfied does not always mean the product is satisfying, because I have I love Super 7. They're my favorite toy company, period. But there's some blunders. And if you go and watch every single Super 7 Ultimate review on the Needless Things YouTube channel, you will see me point them out.
What, you're not a shill boy all the time?
Well, I'm the Hasbro shill boy.
Oh, okay.
Nobody has yet said Super 7 shill boy, which is actually kind of surprising to me, because if you're looking objectively at Super 7's figures versus Hasbro's figures, Super 7's are inherently have more issues, but I'm generally pretty positive about their stuff. I mean, I point out what's wrong, but I stay positive. But for some reason, nobody's ever come at me the way that the people who have a problem with Hasbro seem to enjoy doing.
I don't think that people have that guttural a hatred of Super 7.
Oh, they do.
Yes, they. Oh, yes, they do.
Oh.
There are people who are in Super 7 discussion forums who are only there to poo on Brian Flynn and Super 7.
Yeah.
Like, they have nothing to offer about the product whatsoever. They're literally just there to like, well, 9 years ago when they started doing this, these figures were terrible. So everything they've ever done is terrible. Well, wait, do you have any of the new ones?
Look at some of the reviews for the Disney Ultimates Wave 2, and it is literally people, I think they're hate watching or hate buying. Like, they are looking for something on the figure. The dumbest thing that nobody, they painted this brown when it should be umber.
Right.
Super 7 sucks. And you're like, okay.
It's pretty crazy.
Switch to decaf.
There are hate cults out there against everything. And I can't wait until we get our own hate cult, which is bound to happen because we make mistakes all the time. We're generally a little too nice. So there are people out there just waiting to start.
Share our videos and our
share with the world, spread the word.
Terrible we are,
so we can get so the people can band together in their hatred of Audible Interlude. All right, where are we? Serpentor. Let's talk about Serpentor. This, first of all, I did not realize how gigantic this air chariot was going to be. And I didn't realize how gigantic Serpentor was going to be. Just fantastic. Unbelievable. Opening.
It was worth, it's worth every penny. Normally when I spend that much money on a toy, I'm probably going to be like, yeah, this is probably more than I really should have paid for it, but it's cool. This one was like, oh no, this one was worth every penny. Just the whole experience of unpacking it and assembling the vehicle, and just how great the figure looks, how great the vehicle looks together. And it's such a great, faithful update. So there's a couple of issues. I still haven't decided which cowl I like better. And that's a very small complaint, is that I have two options and I'm not crazy about either one of them.
Well, okay. So I prefer the look of the fixed cowl.
Mm-hmm.
For playability, obviously the other one is better, but for looks wise, I like the one that it's attached. And I will say this, because you guys remember I was complaining about the fangs. I thought it was really dumb that the fangs were like right here, but looking at it in person, it just doesn't seem as bad as I thought it was going to be. And if this head, if the snake head here were broad enough for the fangs to be on the sides like they were on the original figure, I don't think it would look good on this one. I think it would look goofy. So I think they did make the right call on that.
Yeah. I love that cape too.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's so perfect.
And apparently people are out there.
People who have put wire around theirs to be able to pose it, and I'm actually like, I don't want to do that to my one, but I'd like to get a second one just so I can put wire in the cape.
I would be very interested, and it wouldn't surprise me a bit if we see this on like Etsy or wherever.
That's what I'm waiting for.
I want somebody to recreate this fabric, but in an actual cape, as opposed to this, which I like the vest thing they've done here. It's like the original figure, but I think it looks cool also. But I would like to have a cape just to see what it would look like.
Yeah.
But I think it looks great like this too. I'm good with it. I just get his sword stuck there because I didn't know what to do with it. Honestly, my only real nitpick, and it's absolutely stupid and I don't truly care, is that the rotor, the fan or whatever in the back, is kind of difficult to turn. Which, who cares? It doesn't matter. But it is like the knob. They could have put some some grooves on the knob there to make it a little easier to turn if they were going to make it turn. But whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, not a big deal.
No.
Mm-mm.
A flight stand would have been nice, but there's so much here already, I can't complain. And if I were going to have it in flight, I would hang it from the ceiling. I don't know if you guys can really tell, my light is really blowing it out up there, but I've got a bunch of starships and stuff hanging from the ceiling down here. I would hang him from the ceiling. So whatever.
Yeah, I'd be afraid just because he doesn't peg on that well to the chariot.
Oh, see, mine does.
Oh, mine does.
Yeah.
Mine's fallen over a couple times when
Really?
I moved him
Oh,
around.
wow.
So yeah,
Dude.
maybe I need to just get him in a better pose.
Or just push him down a little further. I mean, he's not going anywhere. That's all his feet hanging on. Because I did have to, well, as a tip, and I mentioned this in the review, you're going to want to put the landing gear up because that is very, very delicate, thin plastic. But put the landing gear up and just get a good grip on it and just push those heels down really hard. And they will seat in there. And if they don't go all the way, you can also apply a little bit of heat and then push them down, and then they'll close up around those pegs. And that should take care of it. Oh my gosh, this thing is incredible. So
But now,
Serpentor?
so for the person that mentioned earlier about, excuse me, his Mindbender having sticky legs. So my Serpentor, all frozen joints.
All of them.
All of them.
Mine was just it's funny. What is it about that left elbow? Because the left elbow on my Serpentor, I had to heat up for about a minute.
Yeah. So even with the heating up, his left arm still cannot bend at either of the elbow joints, and his right arm can only do the lower elbow. So I ordered some shock oil off of Amazon.
That stuff scares me. I'm afraid of what it's going to do to the plastic over time.
So many of my toy collector friends use it. So I'm gonna give it a shot to see. The fact that I can't bend his arms though hasn't taken away from my enjoyment of just how great this figure.
Well, because you know that's a fixable problem,
right? And I honestly just assumed it's a gold plastic thing.
Have you put them in not like boiling water, but have you put them in super hot water yet? Because usually if you soak these in,
I haven't done that method.
I would do that before trying any kind of oil or anything.
Okay.
Because that sometimes will loosen them up to the point where like the leg will pop right off.
Right.
Like while it's soaking.
Right, which is why I usually don't do that one.
Well, yeah, you can put it right back on though. It's not a big deal. I use a hair dryer.
That's my typical method.
My go-to, but sometimes that doesn't get well. I haven't had a problem with classified, but with some other lines, sometimes the hair dryer doesn't get the job done, and you've just got to basically boil them, but not actually boiling, but super, super hot water. All right, let's see. So now we got to talk about Dr. Stainbender. So you can see you can definitely see.
Oh yeah,
both shoulders, black stains.
Not acceptable.
And as I said a couple weeks, I think I said it on the live stream last time, always complain. I got on Hasbro Pulse. I went to the little chat bubble and I told them what the problem was. I sent them pictures of the stains, and they're sending me another Mindbender, which granted will also have shoulder stains, but I mean, it's, now I've got one to experiment with and figure out if I can get those stains off, because I've used magic erasers on figures in the past and they have removed the gloss finish that's on the plastic. It does not look good. I've never used acetone, and I don't want to.
I didn't scrub hard with the magic eraser. So I tried the magic eraser, I tried rubbing alcohol, and I tried acetone. None of those.
You did try acetone?
I did.
Oh wow!
I finally broke down and was like, let me just give it a shot. It is down inside the plastic. So I don't know, unless you're willing to like, you trust yourself to sand, it's not coming off. And you should not have to do that for a $40 action figure.
No.
You shouldn't have to do it for a $20 action figure.
No, I mean, you shouldn't have to do it for any kind of purchase like this at all.
And just, because I've been holding this in ever since I got mine. Hasbro should know better.
Yes.
Hasbro has used this fabric.
What are we looking at on yours, Noel? I couldn't quite tell.
Mine is very minor on this shoulder. You probably won't be able to pick it up with a camera.
Yeah, I see it right on the ridge of that muscle.
This shoulder, pretty much nothing.
So what you need to do, get that cape off and soak it wash it with Dawn in warm water, and then soak it in warm water, and then soak it in cold water, and that any dye that might be in that cape, that should eliminate any residual dye, and you should.
I'm so nervous about that though, because here's my problem specifically with that type of fabric that they use. I have had expensive 1/6 scale figures that use that same type of like vinyl-y fabric on top of fabric.
Yeah.
And even in the best like weather controlled, no humidity rooms, that fabric will sometimes, it'll just peel. It likes to come apart. So I just really don't know why they used it. But yeah, the whole reason why it's staining is because they did not wash the fabric beforehand to get any dyes out. So the only way to ensure it's not going to stain your figure is to somehow or other wash that cape. But God, buyer beware, because I'm very nervous that if people start washing it, it could come apart.
Well, I mean, I'm talking gentle
no,
wash.
Even hand wash.
Don't put it in the washing machine or anything.
No. I'm talking about just getting it.
No, I think it'll stand up to that. But even if it doesn't, this is where I was going, is I don't know that I love this cape anyway. I would like to see, again, like I was talking about with Serpentor, I would like to see an actual cape.
Well, and that's what we talked about when they first announced this, how we would have preferred a regular cape.
And I want that silver Cobra logo on the back.
I just want like the velour. Like I love that velour texture on the original one.
Yeah.
Right. They went to the trouble to sew the lip part onto the cape, but they didn't go to the trouble to like flip the fabric. Oh, I don't know. It just, to me,
quite figure
out. Serpentor's doesn't look unfinished, and my Mindbender cape looks cut odd.
Yeah,
where they sewed the hems, and it looks unfinished.
Well, it looks almost like so that's what I can't. Is this supposed to be up?
See, mine, it's down.
And see, with it being down, it's weird because then you have this texture.
Correct.
Well, this looks like, and it shouldn't because of what we paid for this figure, this looks like some of the soft goods that Mattel has done on their wrestling figures lately. They did a robe on a Triple H that has some really ugly seams like this. I don't know. Everything else about Mindbender, I love, except I wish his boots looked a little more like the original's boots that had the silver like spur type deals and then the silver tops. Like I wish his boots looked a little fancier, but everything else about him is great. The cape is the source of all of the problems with this figure to me.
Yeah, the cape is definitely the most disappointing part of this.
I also I don't like to be overly negative. I also don't like the canister. but it also ties into the cape. The canister to plug the hose in for his gun being on his hip like that, the cape doesn't sit right.
Yeah.
You put the hole in his back. I'm obviously shared body part, but it's there. Just put a hole in the cape to have that big generator thing.
Yeah, when you've got it plugged into his belt like it's supposed to go, it bulks the cape out and it looks odd. Which that's because it's a shoulder cape and not a cape. If it was sitting up here and draping,
right,
this wouldn't matter. But because it's snug to his body here, it doesn't really work. So yeah, I want a cape for this guy, and I'm gonna find one that's gonna work. And as much as I'm not a fan of fix-ups, in this instance, I think it's called for. All right, we got to move on because we're running out of time, guys. Python Patrol. We've already talked enough about Python Patrol. We're going to save our windowless packaging update for next episode.
We didn't talk about Slaughter, which also arrived in the wave with these guys.
Did we talk about? We talked about him last time, though.
Your Slaughter. Mine is still sitting in FedEx limbo with my Stalker. Yeah, it was supposed to be here, and then I got when you look at the tracking, it's like sitting in North Carolina.
Well, as I mentioned with my Slaughter, I think it's a good figure. I don't know if it's deluxe enough to have merited $8 more than a regular release, or $10 more if you're going by the earlier prices. Those glasses already like put fear into me because I just have a feeling that it's going to get bumped and those are going to fall down and I'm never going to see them again because they're so thin and tiny.
But they look so good and they stay on well. I gave him the shake test and they didn't go anywhere.
They do. But to me, honestly, I don't need a Sergeant Slaughter. I don't need to see Sergeant Slaughter's eyes. We never saw it ever in the world of G.I. Joe. So just have them permanently molded on. It's like the Baroness doesn't need to have glasses that remove. It's not as bad as when they did those Indiana Jones figures 15 years ago, and Dr. Jones Sr. 3 3/4 inch figure
tiny
had the glasses that got lost immediately.
I've still got mine. I don't have a problem with removable glasses, but I do want Slaughter without the glasses because he didn't, and I know this isn't wrestling Sergeant Slaughter, but he didn't wrestle with the glasses on.
Which is too bad. He really should have.
I want that portrait. So really maybe the best answer would have been 2 heads. One head without the hat and the glasses, and one head with the hat and the glasses molded on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe that would have been, but the way it is doesn't bother me at all. But maybe that would have been the more practical way to go with it.
Yeah, and I don't mind the hat being removable because the hat it's a bigger piece. It's not going to be as easy to lose, and it sits on his head really well.
It does. Everything about him, it's incredible. And again, going back to as somebody who collects wrestling figures, no sunglasses, no glasses fit right. It is an incredible. Sergeant Slaughter's sunglasses are as much of an accomplishment as timber in the toy world. The fact that they are proportionally correct and that they go on and stay on is unbelievable. JJ Holderschelt, I just got my Slaughter, maybe my favorite figure of the year. Toy Reclaimer, message retracted. Toy Reclaimer, what was your message? Don't retract it. We want to hear from you, especially since you have helped us out, which we'll get into in the next episode. All right. Scrolling back down, my gosh, we've got just a little bit of time left. And guys, I really want to talk about real quick the Hiss Tactician, in my personal opinion. And I want to hear from you guys in the comments, okay? My personal opinion, the absolute worst option won. My least favorite out of all of them won.
Wow.
And I'm sure once I get it in hand, I'll be fine with it. But just looking at the different ones, I realized like that's the one I liked the least because I did not like the red detailing on his shoulders and on his shin guards. I don't like the way that looks.
It's just the most boring option.
Well, I don't know. The all black one is probably the most boring option.
Good point.
But
Good
at
point.
least it
I just
still
feel like
looks
it's
good.
an inverse of the regular Hiss drivers colors. I don't know. I was just like, meh. Joe fandom, you let me down.
Yeah, I am not in this is oof. Any of the other ones I would have been happier with. Even the purple one. As much as I love purple, I didn't want this guy in purple, but it would be better than this weird black with red random parts.
I still don't know why they didn't just do one that was basically just a Rip It figure.
Because they'll do a Rip It figure later. Like they'll probably do Rip It as just a single carded figure. Oh, thank you, Matthew. Matthew voted for Echo, and I don't even remember which one Echo is.
Echo's the gray one with the silver boots.
Oh, that's the one I voted for.
Yeah.
Echo. Look, I'm not going to try and claim that Echo is the best one, but in my opinion, the silver logo, the big silver Kiss boots, that's the one I wanted to see as a figure for sure. I don't know that it was the best option. Well, we talked about this. I don't think any of these are honestly all that spectacular.
No, I'm trying to remember because I know I voted for multiple ones.
Yeah, you did 2 different ones, but I don't remember which ones you said.
I'm pretty sure Alpha was one of them because I think that's probably my favorite of the 6. Because I still like having the red Cobra sigil on the chest. It kind of pops.
See, I want the silver because I want it to complement the driver.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. So we got one more thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah, got to complain about the free figure you're getting.
Right, exactly.
It's one that you didn't necessarily have to get because you knew you were getting the Hiss before they even got to this goal.
If you don't like it, just throw it in the trash.
Or we're Americans. It is our God-given right to complain.
That's true. That's true.
It's the one thing we're good at.
All right. So what I really want to talk about before we go, we do talk about things here that are G.I. Joe adjacent. And I am very excited about Operation Monster Force from Fresh Monkey Fiction. This is it's this weird thing where it's sort of crowd funded, but it's really more crowd voted because if they get enough pre-orders on bigbadtoystore.com, then these go into production and we get these unbelievable figures. When I sent you guys this link and you took a look at them, what were your thoughts?
I really liked the concept. Do I like all the figures? No. But again, I want some folks for my Joes to battle against that aren't necessarily just Cobra soldiers. And this line, I feel like, will fit in perfectly for that.
Yeah, I mean, this is right up my alley. Horror monster stuff is, I love it. And I see shades of what could have been with a universal sort of shared monster verse, if you will. And they just look great. There are a couple of
those Sleepwalker builders are just like every single one of them is a good choice.
There's a lot of like action. Yeah, there's red shadows and a lot of Third Reich imagery in there as well, which I'm sure is what they were going for. But it's a very sharp looking costume.
Well, and it's a sci-fi steampunky it's a fantastical Third Reich, not a like Nazis are pretty cool Third Reich. Like
we all know that they had great uniforms. I mean, that was part of the appeal to people. And
very my gosh, does Dracula look like Drew McIntyre? Holy cow. I haven't looked at this on a full-size computer screen yet. Every time I've looked at these, it's been on my phone. He does, and he's even got the Claymore sword with him.
He's got Angela,
right? Yeah. I these just look awesome. And I haven't pre-ordered them yet because I'm just like, man, I can only do so much, but I really want these to succeed, and I just dig them. So for the watchers and the listeners, if you go to bigbadtoystore.com, which is my personal favorite online toy retailer, they are working with Fresh Monkey Fiction to make these. You go and you pre-order them, and let's see. Estimated arrival fourth quarter 2023, and you can get all the details. They've got the Forgotten King, which is the main bad guy and is kind of a Moon Knighty, Imhotep-y, mummy type of wizard thing going on.
Although his head does remind me a little bit of Star Wars. What's her name? Ahsoka.
Oh,
Ahsoka, but yeah.
Okay, I see it.
And then Count Dracula is actually a hero in this. He's one of the protagonists, who looks very Drew McIntyre-y, great looking Dracula. And then Declan. I don't know I never know if it's Declan. I thought
it was Declan.
I go with Declan because that's Elvis Costello's name.
Okay, well, there you go. Van Helsing, and then all of the support troop builders, which the heavy weapons troop builder, I was fully expecting like a bigger price tag on this guy, same price as the other ones. And the price on these is $36.99, which seems a little, may seem high, but it's not.
It's not when you look at everything they come with.
Yes, they come with a ton of accessories. And if you consider that Kamakura was what, $32.99?
Mm-hmm.
These are a bargain compared to that, like not really double dip, but 1.5 dip.
I love the Crimson Moon Division Sleepwalker figure because it looks like it's got the mask is kind of like Scar from G.I. Joe Extreme.
Mm-hmm.
But he looks like he would fit in as like a heavy for you, like a shock troop with your Crimson Guards. And that's probably like if I were to get any of them, it would be maybe a couple of those and put them in and pose them with my Tomax and Zaymot and my CG figures.
And these are designed to troop build because if you go in and look at them, like the Delta Red Urban Ops Trooper comes with 3 heads, one with a mask, one unmasked, and then one with like an open face shield. So right there, in theory, if you had an unlimited budget and were like the biggest fan of these ever, you could have 3 of these and they would look completely different. They've got gear loadouts that quite frankly, put Falaverse stuff to shame.
Mm-hmm.
These are fantastic. And if we keep talking about them, I'm going to sit here and just pre-order them all, which I'm going to end up doing anyway. I know myself very well. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that line. So if you're listening, go check out, it's Operation Monster Force from Fresh Monkey Fiction. And they're available to pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store, and you can see just all of the crazy design and detail. Oh, and these are 1/12 scale. We totally left that out. These are 1/12 scale figures, which is a new thing for Fresh Monkey Fiction. Well, it's not new. It's new for their like military type stuff. I think they've done other 1/12 figures, although I could be wrong about that.
Well, and the question is too, how will they scale with these guys, because these aren't exactly 1/12 scale.
And I would imagine they probably designed these to stand alongside Classified, but that's a good point because you've got 1/12 Collective is one size, Marvel Legends is one size, Black Series is one size. Like there are different ideas of what 1/12 scale is. So we'll find out.
You mean 6-inch scale?
No, I do not.
Because that's
6
the
inches
official
is
term.
not a scale. It drives me crazy. All right, you guys. Well, that is our time, including our bonus preamble that we gave you. So I hope everybody checks out Operation Monster Force. As always, our music is by Andy Semford of electricminnowmusic.com. You can follow us on Instagram and check out these awesome Audible Interlude t-shirts and our stories. The links are there right now. at Audible Interlude Podcast, on Twitter at G.I. Joe Audible. If you want to interact with us, send us ideas, send us input, tell us stuff we missed, share your pictures, whatever you want to do. Audible Interlude Podcast, send us messages on Instagram. I try and be very interactive. Comments here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. I will always reply. And Noel, why don't you tell us a little bit about The Finest?
The Finest is an international G.I. Joe costume club, and we, of course, dress up like our favorite G.I. Joe, Cobra, Dreadnought, whatever G.I. Joe adjacent, as long as it's canonical characters we want. And we help raise money for a great organization called Canines for Warriors. Is actually one of our charity shirts here, where we've got our canine right there and our Defiant flying around. So yes, check us out. We're often at conventions, or you can go to thefinestcc.com or the Finest Recruitment Center on Facebook, and help us with this great cause.
And Kristian, where can we find that toy photography?
You can find me on Flickr.com and Instagram under the name Legion Cub.
Well, you guys that were watching and everybody that's listening to the audio version of this, and Noel and Kristian, thank you so much for sitting down and talking about G.I. Joe. And as always, Yo Joe!
Cobra.